What we're going to do next is we're going to attach a side piece. If you choose to do the wraparound like I have, be a little bit careful because this Harbor Freight cargo basket, the height is a little bit inconsistent from left to right. Maybe it's a problem with their jig. I don't know. You know, for $70, I'm not going to complain, but make sure you measure both ends because you might find one end is a little wider than the other, or taller, I should say. Now, the way I've designed this plate, it goes from about the center of this round to the center of this round. So I have it located left and right, and I'm going to take a pair of vice grips, and I'm just going to securely attach it like that. I'm going to put another set on this end. Now remember, as I said earlier, that this sheeting has a decorative coating to it, so I'm not worried about scratching this chrome effect because it has a nice plastic coating. Now what I've decided for attachment methods is I'm going to do a 1/8 inch rivet on the center line here and about 1 inch in from each edge. What I don't want to have happen is if I'm going down the road, I don't want the wind to sort of grab this front edge and pull the piece. So if I have attachment point close to this end and this end, it'll stay attached even in the wind, and then just the center for good measure. So what I've done here is I've taken my vernier, I've set it for a 1/2 inch. The reason why is this top pipe is 1 inch thick, and then I added an extra 40 thousandths to account for the extra thickness of this aluminum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a scribe mark for roughly about 1 inch or 1.5 inches. I'll move these vice grips out of the way. Attach it here. And then another scribe mark on this end. Then I need to go and get my ruler and my Sharpie. And as I said, I wanted to have a mark for a rivet. I want to locate the rivet 1 inch in from the edge. And I'm just going to put a mark 1 inch in and along my scribe line. It goes there. This is not super critical. It just has to be close enough for visually look consistent. I have those two marks located. Now I can take my same transfer punch, put it right on the intersection of my Sharpie and my scribe line, put a dimple there. I'm going to put a dimple there. I'm going to get my 1/8 inch drill, and I'm going to drill through the aluminum and then also through the steel. Now, be careful because if you don't drill with consistent pressure, what you could end up doing is the drill could wander in the aluminum because it's going to be hard to go through the steel. What you could do there is if you're not comfortable drilling, once you get through the aluminum and then you have a mark in the steel, you can take the aluminum piece back off and drill directly in the steel and not have to worry about wandering in the aluminum. Now I'm going to drill this hole. Keeping the drill steady, make sure it doesn't wander. Now I've got a nice clean hole. Now to make sure my piece stays where it's drilled, I'm going to use what's called a cleco. You don't need this, it's not critical, but I find it really useful. What they are spring-loaded pins. It'll have a 1/8 inch diameter, and this is a set of cleco pliers. So what you do is you put the cleco on the pliers like this, you squeeze it in, and you can see this 1/8 inch locator pop out, and what you do is you just put it in the hole, and then when you let it go, it puts spring tension on the hole. Now that will not move. I can pull the vice grip off, and that piece is fixed. I'll do the same thing on this end. Pull the vice grips off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the vice grips to the bottom so I can drill the bottom two holes. That's fixed there. That's fixed there. I'm going to get my vernier. I'm going to make my scribe line. Again, that scribe line was 0.540 from the edge, but that's because I chose to have the aluminum wraparound. If I didn't design it that way, then it'd only be a 1/2 inch from the edge to get the center line of the pipe. So there's my height reference. And again, I'm going to get my Sharpie. I want my rivet to be 1 inch in from the edge. There. Now I got 2 marks. Take my transfer punch again at the intersection of my scribe line and my Sharpie. Put a punch mark. And now drill these 2 holes. And 2 more clicos. Now I'm going to move my vice grips to be closer to the center so I can put my final 2 rivet holes in. That one doesn't want to cooperate because I'm going on round pipe. Okay, that's good enough. Back to the vernier, get my height reference, top and bottom. Now, because I want this in the center, I know that my overall is 35, Sharpie line, Sharpie line. Now I'm going to drill those 2 holes. Be careful when you're drilling. I forgot to give you a heads up. You know, with the drill, as it's about to penetrate through, you got to take some of the pressure off, because if you don't, when you go all the way through, the chuck of the drill is actually going to scar the material. The plastic coating helps, but if you've got a ton of pressure on it, you're going to go through and you're really going to mar up the material. It is going to go through the plastic coating. All right, so now I have my 6 clicos on. This is completely attached and it's ready for rivet. I'll show you that next. Now we're ready for attachment. As I had mentioned a couple times previously, this material comes with a plastic protective film. Before you put your rivets in, it's super important to pull this film back. I say super important. The reason why I like to do this is because if you don't pull the material back now and you do it after the rivet, you're going to have little pieces of plastic stuck behind the rivet. I don't like the way it looks, so at this point I'm going to take a clico out and then I'm going to pull the plastic back just far enough to get the hole exposed. And I'm going to use these 1/8, I think they call them multi-profile rivets. Do not use the Harbor Freight rivets. They are not strong. I got this at a local speed and performance shop. They grip really, really well. And what I like to do is I love to use an air rivet gun. I feel like it gives you better control over riveting. Sometimes when you use the handgun, after you snap, the gun may inadvertently go forward and it'll scratch the piece. These grip really, really well when you use them with air. Now that one's done. I'm going to go ahead and peel the rest of this plastic back and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So here's a close-up of the piece attached. I know it was really hard for you to see earlier because I was far away. There's a little scuff mark from the drill because I wasn't careful with my pressure. The rivet hides most of it, but you can see this piece is really, really nice. It's pretty flat. I'm a big fan of this chrome stuff. It's easy to work with, but you can choose not to do chrome. You know, you can get this material in black, blue, red, white. Sometimes Some of the shops that sell this material won't have it in stock, and they'll have an MOQ. You may be stuck with having to buy whatever they have there. If you're lucky enough, they would also have a shearing tool, and what they can do for you is they can shear you the strips to the exact length and height, and they can make sure the pieces are square and straight. Otherwise, you have to do it by hand with a set of tin snips. I've gone ahead and I have attached pieces to all four sides. I do need to correct one dimension information I told you earlier, and that is on the side pieces. The distance between these two holes from the center line is not 2 inches. It's 1 3/4 from the center line to this hole. Then every hole thereafter is at a 3.5 inch center. The reason why I did that is because if you see these round tubes, I wanted the holes in the center, and you can't be completely exact because these the round tubes are not exactly to the same dimension. So on a couple of locations, you can see where the hole's not in the center. That's just because the way Harbor Freight or whoever their factory has assembled it. Additionally, on the front, the panel that was on there that had the Hallmaster plate on it, the Hallmaster logo, my plate doesn't cover the original holes that were here, the screw holes. And what I did is I just put a 1/8 inch rivet in there to seal up those holes. And then lastly, when you get the kit, it's going to come with these round rubber sleeves. And what these sleeves are intended to do is make these connection points watertight. I did not want to put these sleeves on because I didn't want this panel to bow as a result of the sleeve being underneath it. So what I've done is I've taken these sleeves, I've made a slit in them, and then on the bottom I trimmed about a 1/4 inch from the center of it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to RTV this sleeve in place. So I'm going to put some on the seam, and then I'll put this sleeve over the top of it, and that should keep all of these watertight. They wanted you to slide these over and then screw them in. I didn't want the added thickness on the outside and then cause the panel to bow where those sleeves were going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. It's pretty straightforward. I'll put our TV in there. I'll put a little on the back side of this, and I'll put it over that, and it should keep the water out. And here we have the finished product. Panels mounted on the side of the cargo carrier, riveted in. All the plastic is peeled off, firmly secured on top of our roof racks. See the panels on all four sides. Looking good. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to reach out with any questions.